A good afternoon to all of our cherished listeners once again. It's always exciting to come your way every Wednesday with your favorite business development program on radio, Masterclass. Masterclass comes your way every Wednesday at 1:15 p.m. and runs all the way through to 2 p.m. here on your superstation, Joy 99.7. My name is Yabanafo and I'm your host for the show. It's exciting to come your way again this year, 2019. This year plans to be exciting, promises to be exciting. Last week when we had the show, it was completely dedicated to you, our cherished listener, to you, our cherished entrepreneur, and we wanted to hear what you had to say, your thoughts about Masterclass, how it's helped your business. Now, you'll be pleasantly, happy to find out that the whole month of February on here on Masterclass is also going to be dedicated to you, our cherished listeners, and to you, entrepreneurs. We're doing that here on the show because we want to be able to get feedback. We want to be able to get feedback from all the work that has been done here on Masterclass. Usually the style of Masterclass is to be able to come to you with some facts and philosophies and theories about how to conduct yourself and your business. But when that is done, we also like to see how all of that information translates into practicality where your business is concerned. And so, for example, when we say that have a business plan, you are the entrepreneur in the field. How has that business plan translated into tangibility for you on the ground? When we say that smile when you speak to the customer, how has smiling helped? Is it really practical? We should be giving feedback to the people who write our books. So for the whole month of February, the show is dedicated to you. I'm going to put this number out. We want you to give us a call on that number if you are interested in joining the Masterclass show and coming in studio to share your story. Yes, you heard me right. We're going to be spending time with some lucky listeners right here on the show. What happens is that once you come in studio, you get to tell us your story. You get to tell people about your business for free on Joy FM to the whole world. Exactly. I knew you'd be excited about that one. So take your pens and write this down. If you're driving, you can safely park and take note of this number. Numbers to call 020 931 2904. That's 020 931 2904. This is the number to call if you've been listening to Masterclass and you own a business or you're interested in coming in studio telling the whole world your story and how Masterclass has helped. This is a rare opportunity. By all means, do take advantage of it. Even if you don't listen to Masterclass and you've heard about it, Joy FM is saying you can come here on the show and talk to the world about your business, and that's what Masterclass is about, helping your businesses to grow. It's the 9th of January today, start of a new year, 2019. I have to get used to saying 2019. I've been signing 2018 for a while. But we've moved on. And, there are a few questions we're asking ourselves as the year due to a close. But we have a whole new set of questions that, we want to be able to ask ourselves again going into 2019. What are you selling? What is your product? We need clarity in that. We've talked about that repeatedly. What is your target market? Who are you making this product for? How are you advertising it? How is the product getting to the people? Because sometimes people do great things, great products. There was a woman, we had an example here on the show where someone had great culinary skills, so they were making great food to sell. So they were expecting to get contracts, but the food wasn't getting out there. And nobody knew they could cook that well. And then, when we had a discussion with her, she says, yeah, but I don't know how to get the information out there. We've talked about social media. We've talked about cheaper, more innovative, and more modern ways of putting your product out there. 2019 definitely has to be better for you. It cannot be the same as it was in 2018. Who are your customers? We had a conversation here, and we said that a lot of businesses fail. I think it was Thompson Chua's show just before Emma started her session, and said a lot of businesses, research was done, and most businesses had lost the reason or the purpose for which they existed. So they were now operating autopilot. And the reason is either one, they got the purpose wrong in the beginning, or number two, the need for which they started the business changed. So let's say they started out and said, people usually come home late, so I want to be able to make packed food for them. Now the demographics in the area you live may have changed. There are a lot more students living there. So you need to adjust yourself. Ask yourself those questions. Who are my customers? What are my demographics? What are my dynamics in the area? What informed my decision to go in this line of business? And have those things changed? These are the questions that we want to provoke you to start thinking about. On this note, we welcome you to the show for today. Back on the show today, we continue, like I said earlier on, with our discussion on business etiquette and personal branding. And like I always say, my favorite business etiquette and personal branding consultant is the person of Emma Adu-Owu. So Emma is back with us. Welcome back to the studio, Emma.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So should I say, I did say Merry Christmas.
Yes.
And I said Happy New Year as
Yes,
well.
you did.
But Happy New Year again.
Thank you very much.
So very briefly, what was Christmas like for you?
A lot of work. We have to strategize for the new year, like you said. A lot
Yeah.
of businesses change. Your target objectives may have changed in recent times, and I realized that look, December is not. You may have a little bit of merrymaking,
Yeah.
but you need to strategize for 2019. So most of my time was spent strategizing.
I know that for people like you who are consultants in, etiquette and personal branding and all of that, you teach this kind of thing.
Yes.
Today you were telling us a bit about Cobadem Consult. You can't help noticing some things that are out of place when you see them. In this Yuletide, where people particularly nicer than they typically would have been, do you think that personal branding was at its best here in Ghana, in our economy, in this Yuletide? And what are your comments about it?
That's an excellent one. Indeed, I noticed that people are beginning to pay attention to their brand and to the impact their attitudes and behavior have on their products and services. So we realize that people are more accommodating, more giving, they are more determined for success. And we talk about branding and we talk about brand consistency. So we realize that you may send an advert, maybe you belong to a social media group or platform, and somebody has advertised a particular product. And you realize that they come back to you again and again. In the past, they'll be like, well, if they don't like it, that's their business. But they realize that you may need to go the round 10, 15 times before somebody notices you. It is said that it takes about 7 to 10 times frequent advertisement for people to actually notice that you have a product. So I realize that people are now paying more attention to their brand and how they relate to people. Relationships are important in branding. If you rub off wrongly on an individual, it can affect your business. And so for those who are more exposed to what is happening in the system in terms of marketing and projecting their image forward, they are doing it. And even through this discussion we've had, talking about personal branding, I had a company that called me up and said, look, what you're talking about makes a lot of sense. I think I need to rebrand my staff. And we're talking. It's working. We're training them. So it shows that people are really paying attention. Gone are the days whereby people will listen to this product and say, Mediede, what's my business with that? I already have my clients. Those days are changing, and this is for the wise people who realize that if you do not brand your products and services, and if you not teach your staff core etiquette skills, at the end of the day, you may end up running down your business. If your competitor comes up with similar products and services, excellent customer service delivery, excellent business etiquette, has attention for the client, they will woo them over.
Yeah.
People like you and I these days are getting more and more picky with whom we choose to do business. So if you want to convince people out there, you need to walk and go the extra mile. If you're not prepared to train your staff, give them the necessary tools they need to actualize your dreams, your visions, and your mission, you're going to be where you are. And then what do we do if care is not taken? We start going to churches and we're praying all night, service, Lord, open the way. My enemies have upgraded. My enemies are succeeding. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way.
You have to put your back into it.
Yes, critical self-examination is necessary. Where are you going wrong? Like you rightly said, your demographics might have changed. Your core target, core objectives may have changed.
Yeah.
You may have had a mission or vision. It's good to sometimes review your mission and your vision. So the question to corporate companies is that when was the last time you actually sat down to review your mission and your vision? Yesterday evening, for example, I was with a particular company and he was actually discussing with his CEOs and he said, look, this was the mission and vision we had 10 years ago. This is 2019. Where are we? Realize that maybe we need to change our timelines.
How relevant is it even to today's
relevant?
market?
That is the question.
Yes.
So these are key things that I realize that people are now opening up to and realize the importance of actually branding themselves. And if you train yourself, and that's what I keep on talking about, empowering, like you're doing on multimedia, empowering the people to take decisive action that will have a lasting and positive impact on their business. They need to train their staff. Help them to help your business. It's that simple as that.
Help them to help your business. I like that. I mean, the world is going somewhere. It's not slowing down.
No.
There was this interesting statement I saw much earlier in the week. It says that a lot of people are busy going nowhere very fast. the world is not going nowhere fast. The world is going somewhere. It's not going to slow down.
It's not.
Things
Indeed.
are changing rapidly. The customer is now spoiled for choice.
True.
That's not going to change. If you're an entrepreneur, you've got to catch up and keep up.
That is it. Catch up and keep up.
You've got to catch up and keep up.
Catch up and
Brilliant. I'm excited about today's discussion. Today we'll be focusing on the different types of business etiquette, understanding what business etiquette is. Pretty much those are the discussions we'll be having.
Absolutely.
Time in the studio, 26 minutes past the hour of 1. We'll take a quick musical break. This one says, it says Ghetto Gospel, and says, is it Father, Father, or Father, Father? Okay. Whichever one it is. Let's take a quick listen.
Mastercraft on the beat.
Every day by day I just they celebrate. Everything I do we just they penetrate. I just want to say thank you Jehovah. See I'm living large, I get angels so for my ghetto. Never forget where I come from, not from ghetto. Oh no 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 no. I just want to say thank you Jehovah. Ure keneri wo go Father 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 Ade kwamu loya no Father 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 Ema putirogu wanne bele belo. I call look if I follow one day you must go. See I come from East the enter street brother you know. Hey Jimmy fair I turn to beast you already know. Him I know now yellow moon don't get fair. Oh now yellow me gon get to ya o. Him I nan rap balloon butum get a hese. I saw him balloon butum ga koya o. I came with so and the conquer. All of them just a wonder. So which come up and under. I fire them with the thunder. Mwana kuzi kwanu nuju. No, mano chill. I cover myself. Every day by day I just they celebrate. Everything I do we just they penetrate. I just want to say thank you Jehovah. See I'm living large, I get angels so for my ghetto. Never forget where I come from, not from ghetto. Oh no 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 no. I just want to say thank you Jehovah. Ure keneri wo go Father 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 Ade kwamu loya no Father 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 Father.
I buy moto, I dey travel go bodo go. Na private jet remain for me, Baba you know. Oku dilibi ko be I never take me photo. You know easy to the jury governor Ambode. Na father because the governor he be to me. Since I lost my daddy, now he don't adopt me. I say gonna the days when no who they hug me. You write about now all the chicks they come to. I stand you back on the chamber, I can't.
Right, you're welcome back to the studio. If you've just tuned in, this is Masterclass right here on your superstation Joy 99.7, and we're back here in the studio with Emma Adu-Owusu. I like to call her our favorite consultant on business etiquette and personal branding. So Emma, here's one thing I picked up preparing for today's show. This one is from Alina Wheeler. Alina is an author and is also a brand consultant. Alina says, brand is a promise, the big idea, the expectation that resides in each customer's mind about a product, a service, or a company. Branding is about making an emotional connection. I'll take that again. Alina Wheeler, brand consultant and an author, says that brand is the promise, the big idea, the expectation that resides in each customer's mind about a product, service, or a company. Branding is about making an emotional connection. That's Alina Wheeler. I'm sure that you've corroborated this point severally here on the show. But just a few thoughts on I mean, what do you think Alina is trying to say here?
Alina is trying to say that you must live up to your brand expectation. If you brand yourself as an excellent service provider, if you're telling me that in dealing with you, I will experience nothing but pleasantness, I should be able to trust your word and that. And should I decide to make use of that services, you must definitely fulfill your obligations towards me. So you take, for example, a company that has branded itself as being able to produce excellent juicy chicken. Anytime you pass by there, it's an emotional connection. Your tummy is happy. You're happy. You're smiling. Because who doesn't love food? I do. And so you find that that brand has an emotional relationship with you. You see it, you're happy, you're excited. You see that feelings are now involved. And that is how emotionally connected you are to that particular brand. Now, having established that emotional connection, I need you to guarantee me that when I walk in there, you're not going to give me a stale chicken. Because that is not what your brand says you are. And so in establishing a brand, we should realize that emotions are being brought up in that relationship. People are connecting with you, not just for face value, but it runs beyond that. The feelings are deep. And that is why they would want to come back to you over and over again. And therefore, as a service provider, in marketing your brand, it is your obligation to make sure that your customers are satisfied and that you are able to keep up with the promise of the brand which you have sold out to them.
Right.
If you do not do that, then there is a disconnect. When customers are not satisfied or they have an issue with your brand, then they start shopping and then you're in trouble.
Very key thing you said there. I mean, you sell a promise. Just keep the promise.
Simple.
So, you go out there and you say that we deliver chicken fresh. That's your tagline. The least I expect is that the chicken I get from you should be fresh.
Yeah.
You said that you deliver chicken fresh. If you said that we fry chicken crunchy, I don't expect any soggy chicken.
Exactly.
Because when I walk in there, I'm expecting to eat crunchy chicken.
Yes.
So when you make a promise, keep it, because that's what you define yourself and tell the world, I'm here to give you this specificity about a certain product.
True.
Keep it up. That's all we're saying.
Exactly.
That's all the customer expects from you.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. And I've always said this thing about the customer. The customer is not somebody behind a glass wall.
No.
We're all customers at some point. When you sit in your hairdressing salon, somebody walks in there, you're a customer at that point.
Yes.
At lunchtime, when you walk out of that shop to the restaurant next door, you are their customer.
Yes. At any point in time.
So, I mean, when you're talking about the customer, be a bit measured. Okay, so Emma, today we're talking about the different types of etiquette.
Yes.
Talk to us about it, and we'll be opening the phone lines at some point so that our listeners can also join in. Again, let me just put this out before you start, Emma. The whole month of February on Masterclass is dedicated to you, our cherished listeners. And what we'll be doing is I'll be giving some of you the opportunity to come in studio and tell the whole world about your story, the whole world about your business, what you do, without you paying for it. That's free advertisement here on the biggest platform you can ever get. Because once you're here on Joy, the whole world is listening.
True.
Okay? And there's a special number you can call to register your interest. I'm going to put this number out. It's 020-931-2904. That's 020-931-2904. So if you want to be our in-guest studio for the month of February, talking to us about how Masterclass has helped your business, or even if you just started listening, tell the world about your business, call this number, and my producer will have a conversation with you. And if you're lucky, you get to be one of our in-guest studios for the month of February. So, Emma, talk to us about the different types of etiquette, and then we'll go on to understanding business etiquette.
If you're running a business, for example, you should be keen on business etiquette. It talks about the manners and the attitude your employees should be offering to your clients. In buying a product or service, it comes with a package. It's not just the item you're buying. It has to do with the relationship you're establishing when the person is picking up the item. So if you're running a business, you should be keen on business etiquette. Then, of course, we have social etiquette. Etiquette is broad. We have wedding etiquette. We have sports etiquette, for example, what is expected of you. But then we want to narrow it down, and let's look at social and business etiquette. If we're looking about social etiquette, it's talking, for example, about what is socially expected of you in terms of behavior when you are in public, more or less. Business etiquette deals with things like telephone etiquette. You're looking at business meeting etiquette, email etiquette, text message etiquette, boardroom meeting etiquette.
Sorry, did you say text message etiquette?
Oh, yes, text message etiquette.
There's etiquette for text messaging?
There's text message, there's etiquette for
I'm
text
excited about this one.
And then there's email etiquette as well. Certain things you need to know about. And you're talking about the fact that there's even grooming etiquette. There are things that are accepted and not accepted. So it's a broad thing. So you start by looking at who your target audiences are. What is your scope of business? You realize that some of this etiquette will run through most of your business transaction with the client. So if you're looking at business etiquette, talking, for example, about telephone etiquette, what are the do's and don'ts of telephone etiquette? What are things that are accepted and not accepted? For example, it is wrong for you to transfer a call without telling the caller that, or seeking permission from the caller to transfer them to whoever it is they want to talk to. It's not acceptable. It is wrong of you actually to pick up a phone call. You're working in a business environment with having your pen and paper ready to take a message from whoever is calling in. Because what I find so irritating is that, okay, can I give you my number and have him call me back? Oh, madam, hold on, let me get my pen and paper. And then you start looking for it and people are, you're rustling your back and all that. It really doesn't make sense. We're talking about telephone etiquette. We're talking about your comportment when you're even answering the call. We talk about the fact that you should have a smile when you answer the phone call because people can actually hear your smile. We're talking about the fact that you're talking to somebody, you need to be clear. You shouldn't have food in your mouth. You should be courteous. You should be polite. Your pleases, your yes, ma'am. Okay, I'm sorry about this. I'm getting back to you and all those kind of things. These are things that you look at for when it comes to telephone etiquette. Now, if you're running a business and you have somebody you've claimed is a receptionist or you have staff who pick up the call, it's mandatory that you train them on the common courtesies that is involved when they are handling the telephone. If they don't know what is that, you're going to rub off wrongly on a client who is going to term your company as an ill-mannered or not properly behaved company. It's going to affect your brand. So key things like that you have to look out for. So talking about email etiquette.
Before you go to email etiquette, I have some examples on telephone. It's true what you said about transferring the call without telling the caller, but I think it's even more rude to transfer the call to the recipient of the call. So, for example, if Emma called Multimedia today and wanted to speak to Yao, and Yao was sitting in his office, and let's say Sarah picked the call. So Sarah picks the call, and Emma is talking to Sarah, and the next thing she hears is, "Please hold. Your call is being transferred." Please. She was in the middle of a sentence. And the next thing, Yao is sitting in a meeting and says, "Hello, Sarah." And then Emma starts talking.
I mean, it's unacceptable.
It's completely rude.
Very rude.
Completely rude because they are, I like to say, idiosyncrasies and exigencies in every relationship.
True.
Maybe Emma ticked me off the other day.
Oh, yeah.
And frankly, I'm still going through my emotions of forgiving her.
True.
Then you thrust me into a conversation with Emma.
Yes.
I don't want to talk to Emma at that time. Maybe I'm actually saying to Sarah, by the way, I forgot to tell you, if Emma calls, don't pick the call. And then it's Emma on the call.
You know, it happened. It happened some time ago. I asked to talk to the supervisor in charge, and she actually picked up the call, dropped it, and said, "Oh, there is one lady saying she wants to talk to the supervisor. Hey, madam, don't give her his number. Supervisor doesn't like that." I heard all that over the phone.
So you may be giving away company information, company secrets, and all of that. Just be nice about it. And you should also know how to use the telephone.
True.
Because they have different functionalities. When you're transferring a call, you should know how it's done properly. Because otherwise, the other person on the other side of the line may be listening in to information they shouldn't have.
Yes. So the general rule of thumb is that if you have a staff and you have a complex phone system, do not allow them access to it until they have been trained
to handle it.
Otherwise, they may end up embarrassing you and your
There's something else that I've also learned about telephone etiquette, and I want to ask you, being the expert here. People often say during training that when you pick up the phone, you tell the person your name. First of all, you greet them.
Yeah,
you tell them your name, and then you end up by saying, "How may I help?" So it would sound something like this. If a phone rang, I would say, "Good afternoon, this is Yao speaking from Cobadem Consult. How may I help you?" Isn't that a mouthful? Or should I say, "Good afternoon, this is Cobadem Consult. Yao speaking. How may I help?" It's a mouthful. I'm sure the person say, "Hello, please, can you..." By the time you are finishing your sentence, the person is impatient.
It's interesting. It's interesting. It's a sort of synergy. I was thinking the same thing. I had the same thought in mind today because I actually called a company and she was like, "Hello, my name is Doreen, and welcome to blah 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 company." I would say that the shorter the sentence, the better. Keep straight to the specific. The reason why we normally ask the person, how do I say it, the operator of the phone to mention the company name is that people sometimes get the numbers mixed up, wrong. And so when you say hello, they start ranting and talking without even knowing that the company they're talking to is wrong. So the idea is to give the caller leverage to ensure that he's actually talking and speaking to the right person and the right company. That's
Have you noticed, though, also that it may be important to introduce the call, i.e., this, hello, good afternoon, this is Kobadem Consult. Yeah, I'm speaking, how may I help? Because sometimes people expect a certain kind of welcome on the phone. So this is what happens. Hello. Then the person says, hello. And you're expecting a female voice. So it's a male voice. And you're not sure. You're like, hello. And you say hello again. And you keep saying hello. Hello. Back and forth. They say, who do you want to talk to? And you're Auntie Julini. And at that point, you're like, and other times people also pick the phone and then they start ranting like you said.
Yeah, straight up.
Because you didn't introduce the call.
Yes.
So they start ranting and saying, I've been standing here for 5 hours. You are not here with my money. God is going to punish you. It says, I'm not the person you are looking for. He said, what's the camera? And then he goes, so I think it's important, introduce the phone call.
Yeah, true.
Mention your name. Be courteous about it. If it's a company, make sure that you understand the telephone system. And by all means, smile because the caller can hear it in your voice.
Absolutely. So tone is very important. It can be very irritating when you call a company and you find, you feel as if you're talking to a robot. Hello, this is Grace, blah, blah, blah. How can I help you? You have to train your staff to add emotion and feeling to the, hello, this is Grace. You're calling from here. How can I help you? It's interesting. It's lively. That is what we talk about when it comes to telephone etiquette.
Not hello. Then you say, hello. Is this multimedia? Yes. Okay. Can I please talk to? What do you want?
Yes. Hold on.
Yeah. So be nice about it. Once you decide to speak on the phone, be nice about it.
Yes.
Let me put the phone lines out so that while we continue, maybe our listeners can just join us. Numbers to call, as always, 0302-216-541. That's 0302-216-541. We're discussing business etiquette here. What has your experience been? Pick up the phone, share with us. Or you can send us a comment on 0244-340437. Particularly with telephone etiquette, what has your experience been? Let's share those experiences and ask questions and become better. I'm looking forward to a time in Ghana where when you pick the phone, it'll be just beautiful.
Yeah.
So let's go on to email etiquette. You were talking about email etiquette.
Email etiquette basically involves being courteous to the person you're sending a message to. The problem with email etiquette is that because you're not facing the person directly, because you don't have a physical presence in front of you, you can get forgetful and, start typing out certain things and, express your emotions. And if care is not taken, you hit the send button, it's difficult to recall that message. But I hear that Gmail these days give you up to 30 seconds. They'll ask you, do you want to
recall your message?
Because they know that people are crazy sometimes. They're like, what have I done? So you need to understand and realize that in sending out that message, it can affect your image and your brand in the eyes of the recipient. Also, email messages have a record. People keep the records. And so if care is not taken, you said something, known to you, it's there. It's going to be there for life. And so they always have a point of reference. So the standard rule of thumb is that if you before you hit the send button, ask yourself that the person you're sending this message to, if this person was standing before you, will you be able to state what you are stating in that message? If the answer is yes, then hit the send button. If it's not, it's better you actually do not send it actually. And in sending email messages, we noticed that people have started using abbreviations and emoticons. It is unacceptable in a business. First and foremost, define a relationship with the recipient. If it's strictly business, it's important that your choice of words, your use of letters remains strictly business. And that is why we realize that even these days with our kids, we hear that the failure rate in English is very high. Because even with WhatsApp messages, LOL, laugh out loud, You can't send somebody LOL unless you're on that business with them. If it's a business WhatsApp message, you need to strictly keep it with business.
Yes.
But sometimes we forget ourselves, okay? Like that, LYKDAT, like that. I mean, when you start along those lines, you find that our kids end up picking the wrong spelling of words. So it's not a mystery that these days they're doing so badly in English because they can't even spell the words correctly. So when you're sending email messages, text messages, you must use the appropriate words and it must be correctly spelled. No short forms, no silly emoticons because it's strictly business. And that way you show respect and dignity to the recipient. Nobody wants to get on a chummy basis with you. If they have not invited you to be chummy with them, do not go that way at all. You keep it respectable, you keep it business-like, and help to actually maintain the brand that you're actually marketing out there, which is very important.
I have had some experience with email as well. I think that one of the best things you can do for yourself as a business, as an entrepreneur, or as a business owner, read through your email before you send it. Check the spelling in your email.
Important.
People get very offended when you send them email with wrong spelling.
Wrong spelling.
Even more so when you've omitted certain words, propositions. You're trying to say the sun is coming up. The sun coming up. It's not a telegraph. Read through your email before you send it. And the second point you made about emotions, I mean, I find that's really key, and it works both ways. Emotions pass with time. So sometimes when you are very upset, it's better not to send it in an email. You see, the thing about email is that it's recorded for life.
For life.
So they're going to pull up that email, unless you're going to send another email back and apologize.
Yeah, exactly.
But otherwise, then try not to send it when you're upset. When I'm upset and I type out an email, I always get somebody to read it for me. And I have some good friends who say, okay, I know that you are very upset. There's a lot of emotion in this email, very little fact. There's no fact here. If this thing goes on to the disciplinary committee, you're going to be in hot water because all you are doing is allegations. There's nothing here that is fact. You sit down and you read it and you find out that it's true. It's all fluff and hot air. When you're upset, the thing we say about being upset at email is that when you're upset, don't send an email.
Totally.
Don't send an email. The other thing we also learned the last time was that when you send an email, it is not okay to send email in capital letters.
No, you're shouting. I mean,
it connotes that you're yelling at the person. For the same reason why you would send a reminder and highlight it in red and put an exclamation mark. You're trying to draw attention. So when you send an email and you capitalize it, it connotes a bit of rudeness as well.
True.
I think that email courtesy is really, and when you receive an email, respond to it.
Yeah, very important.
It's very, very offensive when people send you email and you do not respond to it. And sometimes they have read receipt on Microsoft, so they can see that you read the email.
Yeah, even with text messages, they even have read receipts.
Yeah.
That tells you that the person has actually received it and even gone ahead to read it. And so why are you not responding? It's rude. It's not courteous.
But this thing about text messages, right? I don't know what it is, but I was going to say, is it an informal way of communication? Because it can also be formal, right?
Yes. Indeed. It can actually. So the thing with text messages, it's okay, especially, for example, when you are in a territory that has very poor communication network. Email is also a very good and efficient means of transacting business. But the content is important. What you put in the content and who you're directing it at is very important. Spelling is important. But I remember the first time I was doing a business with a particular company, and they sent me a quotation and I was asking for a discount. And they sent me a shocked emoticon. You have a lot of this emoticon that expresses what you're saying. And he sent me an emoticon that expressed shocked. And I was upset. And I was like, why are you sending me emoticons? I mean, we're discussing business here. You don't do that unless the person is the classmate, is a very close friend with you. You can banter along those lines. But sometimes the problem we make is that the mistake we make is that we end up blurring what is supposed to be a business relationship and with what is supposed to be a social relationship. They're not the same.
Right.
We need to keep things in perspective.
So keep the official things official.
Yes, very important.
Unless they invite you to be chummy, like you said, keep it official.
Very
because people get offended. There's this thing about inviting people into your personal space.
That is it.
And that's exactly what I've said. You've got to be invited into that space. Otherwise, it's a bit rude and offensive it's like meeting somebody and saying, this happens a lot. And okay, so I'm going to try and be as vague as possible because I don't want to expose, So I'm walking somewhere, I'm driving somewhere in the middle of the night, and I get stopped by this person, and I stop because I have to stop.
Yeah.
And I hope I'm not giving too much away. And I roll down my window and it says, I wouldn't have to say they wouldn't need me. And I'm thinking, I don't know you from anywhere. It's a bit offensive when you try. Sometimes when people even mistake you for somebody else.
Yeah.
It comes across as a bit, it rubs you the wrong way.
It does.
So
actually.
do not be in a hurry to try and, impose yourself on anyone. Let's talk about grooming etiquette. We talked about email etiquette, text message, telephone. Let's talk about grooming.
So grooming has to do with how you present yourself.
Present yourself, yeah.
We're trying to say that if you really respect your brand and respect the value of your client, you need to dress appropriately. So simple things you need to do. Do not expose any part, your body parts. It shouldn't be too tight. It should be decent. It should show a sense of respectability towards you and your client at the end of the day. You cannot, for example, have salespeople in your shop who dress anyhow to your business. It's a color riot. You are disrespecting your client. The least that you can do for your client is that when they come in, you have to give them a pleasant experience. And pleasant experience includes having staff that are well presented through proper grooming, because you may never get a second chance to make a lasting first impression.
That's true.
When people walk in there, everything needs to be on point. And the interesting thing is that when we talk about these minor things, we see it as something huge and difficult. All these things. It's everyday things we do in life, but paying more and detailed attention to these things. And if we only would make the little effort, it can make a difference.
Right.
I have situations where even business owners are rude to the client. Your client walks in there. Perhaps you're not happy with the client. The client walks out and you start to badmouth the client. How and in what way do you expect your staff to treat the client?
Hold that thought for me once again. I've got one of our resource persons on the show, Thompson Chua. Good afternoon, Thompson. You're welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Happy New Year to you, Thompson.
Good. Just a quick one. I think there's a place for character, when it comes to etiquette.
Right.
Because etiquette is like a system through which we do things right. For instance, email. Okay, I remember a time when I wanted to respond to a certain manager who spoke offensively to me through an email. But because I could control myself, essentially having the right state of mind, character-wise, I could actually respond to that email in a professional manner without getting emotionally upset in my own response. So what you see often is that where etiquette fails, a big area where etiquette fails is the people trying to follow the etiquette don't have the right character. So I would love it if our facilitator could add a few words about character. To etiquette.
Right. Thank you so much, Thompson. It's always a pleasure to hear you on the show. Thank you. So that was Thompson Chua. I've got Lukman on the line. Let's listen to Lukman. Hello, good afternoon, Lukman. You're welcome to Masterclass.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Mr. You're wonderful. I don't know that you can be a comedian with your phone. I tell you, you're really excited.
Thank you. Talk to me.
Yeah, please, today I want to bring a policy. I want to ask some information which does not relate to what you are discussing today.
Okay.
Please, I would like to know, those of us who have shares in UT.
Right.
It doesn't matter how much is it. What should we do?
Okay.
I also have a little shares in UT. I don't know what it is. So if I can get a little.
Okay. So Lukman, I'm just stay on the line. I'm really excited that you called, and I want you to be one of my in-guest studios for the month of February. You've always called the show, but I want you to be in the studio. So I'm going to put this number out. Take this number now. It's 020.
Okay.
931.
Okay.
2904.
Okay.
Now, when you call that number, the first thing you do, you speak to my producer. You tell them that I asked you live on the show to be an in-guest studio. And the second thing is you ask them your question about UT, and they will give you an answer. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Thank you so much for calling the show.
Yeah.
Right. So that was Lukman. He's always one of our callers, very favorite caller on the show. I've got Osei Menu from Fumesia in Kumasi. Okay. Osemeno, I'd like you to call the show. I've still got a few more minutes. Numbers to call 0302-216-541. I've never heard your voice. You always send me a message on social media. But give me a call today. Pick up that phone. Give me a call on 0302-216-541. He says the show is live and clear at Watch and Pray Enterprises inside Fomesia. Greetings to my dear friend Esther Anoche, student at Ideal College. From Osemeno. Ose, you've been saying a lot of greetings to Esther. I want you to come in studio in the month of February and be a part of the show so that you can tell Esther yourself from the studio. So I'm going to put the number. In the month of February, we're dedicating the show, Masterclass, to all of our listeners, cherished listeners. Numbers to call to be a part of that process to be selected, 020-931-2904. That's 020-931-2904. If you want to be a part of our in-guest studio for the month of February here on Masterclass, call this number, 020-931-2904. I've got a few more minutes on the show. You can still send up your comment on WhatsApp, 0244-340-437, or give us a call on 0302-216-541. Let's talk about maybe final comment on understanding business. We have talked about the different types of it, the components of it, and all of that. Oh, I've got Kisi on the line. Let me see if I can talk to Kisi. Good afternoon, Kisi. You're welcome to Masterclass.
Yeah, thank you, Yao. And good afternoon to your guest.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm curious. I want to know whether she's Nigerian or she's lived there. I like her explanation. I like her explanation very much. And thank you for the education.
Right. Okay, so keep listening. She'll tell you where she comes from. I think you missed the beginning of the show. He missed it, right?
I think he did.
Okay, so let's recap.
So I'm half Nigerian, partly Togolese and Ghanaian, and I'm married to Mr. Adowusu.
Okay.
Who is 100% Ghanaian.
Okay.
And so, in all fairness, we have two boys. One is called Adebayo, one is called Kwabena. We thought we should be fair.
It should be fair.
Yes.
So, she's a Pan-African.
Simple and short.
Four countries, Ghana, Togo, Nigeria, and where?
Just three.
Just three countries.
It may increase.
Okay, all right. I've got a few more. I don't think I can take a call. But let's round up today's discussion and then give an outlook for next week in about 30 seconds, if we can.
Okay.
Yes.
So what we're trying to say is that we want people to empower their staff to grow their business. It's as simple as this: help your staff to help you. If you do not know the core things you need to do to grow your business or your brand, please seek assistance. That is the essence of this show. And the point is that competition is rife. Like you said, people have options these days. Social media has made it possible for a lot of more brands to market their products and services. And so we ask them and we urge them to utilize the power of business etiquette and personal branding and business branding to actually push out their services out there. If they do, the growth will be beyond what they have ever imagined.
What's the outlook for next week?
So outlook for next week, we've talked about etiquette, we've talked about branding. We want to fuse them together. We want to look at personal branding, we want to look at etiquette and see how both of them can marry in basically projecting your products and services to the buyers out there.
The buyers out there. This has been an exciting session, another educational session with Emma Adowusu. Same time next week, we come your way here on radio on your Superstation Joy 99.7. Up next is the news at 2. My name is Yao Banafo. Thank you for listening and see you same time next week.
We give you nothing but the best. We stay above the rest. More quality, more